Family Matters, number 3. Get up. Hinata blinked and awoke. Everything hurt like hell, but there was a revitalizing stream of chakra pouring into her that had roused her from her exhausted slumber. It cut off far sooner than she'd have liked. That's all I've got, and it will have to do. Get up, Hinata, you're not done yet. She groaned and stumbled to her feet, looking up to try and place the voice that had wait, what? Itachi? Sasuke's brother was stood there staring at her with a very controlled expression. How did you? I suppose congratulations are in order. He mused. You have successfully killed Neji Hyuuga. You'll forgive me if I can't bring myself to pull out the confetti. Wait, you were the ninja disguised in the wall? Hinata looked at him, narrowing her eyes. What were you? Shut up and listen. He said, flatly. Your Gokiai's passive is working, right? Great. All right, I've been working with Neji for the last 10 years. Hinata's jaw dropped. It was true. What do you? I helped him massacre your family, and I helped him escape the village. Itachi continued, steamrolling over her, and there was a very, very good reason for that I'm certain you will want to know. But you're talking to a shadow clone, and it's not going to tell you. The only way you'll find out is by coming to the real Itachi in the Uchiha section of the forest outside of Konoha, at which point I have every intention of explaining everything you've ever wanted to know about Neji. Hinata's head swam. She had literally no idea how to process what was going on. Neji was wait, hold on, why are you? But you'd better be quick. He told her. I'm currently under attack by Sasuke and my father. I'm stalling for as long as possible, but if you aren't here in a few minutes, I'm going to die, and you'll never find out what you want to know. Ciao. He put his hands together. Wait, no. Hinata reached out, but the Itachi clone had already vanished in a puff of smoke. She almost sank to her knees again, but grit her teeth, forcing herself to stay upright and start stretching unwilling limbs, using what little chakra she'd been gifted to apply some self-healing jutsu. So I'm not finished. She muttered. Of course. I'm never fucking finished. She turned around. A lot of the owls were still there, watching her curiously. Forsooth, she yelled. One of the owls vanished, and a second later, the first owl Hinata had ever summoned appeared in its stead, floating over to her with a concerned expression. My lady, are you all right? Kudos returned to us, and we heard you had one, but then Konoha. Hinata told him, walking up. I need you to get me there as fast as you possibly can. Itachi slumped backwards against one of the few trees that had survived the encounter, and wheezed. This has not been the best day for me. Oh, perfect, I'm blind now. Wonderful. Sasuke dropped down in front and launched another glare, not that Itachi could see it. The man's chakra was completely exhausted, his eyes were gone, but Sasuke still intended to treat him like a live bomb that might go off any second. We can't imprison him, Fugaku said, limping up behind Sasuke. Not after that display. There's okay, I need you to shut the fuck up, Sasuke hissed, turning back to his father for a moment. I'll deal with you when I'm done with him, considering you didn't even bother to deny trying to take over the village one time. Itachi. Sasuke turned to his brother. You get one last chance. Tell me, right now, why you betrayed us. Why you betrayed me. Or I set you on fire. Itachi sighed. All right. What you need to understand is who I really am. I was born into war, Sasuke. A prodigy apart from his peers. My Sharingan awakened when I was 4, alongside my first kill. I met only one who ever truly understood me, and together we went places no man on earth has ever seen. I gave away the truth to enemies, and lied to my friends. I am a brother, a son, a friend, and a teammate. I am Itachi Uchiha. And, I am running out of cool things to say. He's stalling. Sasuke heard something above him and didn't hesitate. His eyes flashed with the intent to burn and the black flames flowered up, but not on Itachi. Something white blitzed down from the skies and crashed into the dirt, catching the attack on its own body. It stood up, and shards of opal clattered to the floor from where the flames had landed. Neji? Was Sasuke's first thought, remembering the Sharingan recording Itachi had shown him from 4 years ago, but it wasn't. Hinata Hyuuga looked up at him, smiled apologetically, and said, "What's up, Uchiha? If you could just give me a second." She turned around and grabbed Itachi by his lapels, slamming him into the tree and muttering at him too quietly for Sasuke to hear. "The traitor!" Fugaku hissed, drawing a kunai from his belt. "She's here to extract him, no?" Sasuke yelled, holding a hand up to forestall his father. He had absolutely no idea what the hell was going on, but she's my teammate. We wait to see what she says. Are you insane? Sasuke tuned him out, walking forwards. Hinata had dropped Itachi, apparently having heard what she needed to, and turned round to look at him. They stood there, awkwardly, for a moment. "Your eyes are bleeding," she remarked, after a moment. "Yeah," Sasuke replied, wiping at them. "My dojutsu's a bitch." "Same," Hinata agreed. "Please don't Amaterasu me again? I only just found out I could use the Vishnu, and I already can't feel my fingers or toes. And I don't even get the extra limbs. Neji must be cheating." "Is Neji?" Sasuke trailed off. "Dead." She nodded. Her face went funny. Some strange mixture of pain and relief. "Finally. And you know Itachi was working with him." "I do." She took in a breath. "Sasuke. Do you trust me?" He tilted his head at her. "Do I?" He thought about it. "You left the village." "I did." "You wouldn't come back." "I wouldn't." "It's been 4 years." "It has." Sasuke took a deep breath. "But you're here now." "I am." She nodded. Sasuke took a second, and then ran forwards and wrapped her up in a hug. She responded in kind, gripping him like her life depended on it. "I am going to give you hell for this," he said, quietly. "Do you have any idea how much shit I've gone through?" "I know." She muttered back. "I'm so sorry." "I know you are." "All right then, Hyuga. What's the plan?" She extricated herself, sighed, and said, "We keep fighting." And she turned, entered stance, and faced Fugaku. After a moment, Sasuke joined her. Sasuke's father stared at him. "You're insane. She's a traitor. She worked with Orochimaru, attacked you and the Umbu. You're going to attack me at her word?" "She's my teammate." Sasuke shrugged. "Teammate isn't enough for that." Fugaku howled. "That can't be all she is to you." "Or maybe," Itachi spoke up from the floor behind them. "You've forgotten what the word means." Fugaku grimaced. And then his eyes flashed into the Mangekyo pattern. "Just like how we freed Kakashi." Sasuke genjutsued across at Hinata, and immediately flashed through the hand seals to Great Fireball Jutsu. A wall of flame caught up Fugaku's Amaterasu, and though the black fire fed on the flames, it was still pushed backwards towards its caster, who was forced to dive out of the way and right into 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Hinata declared, and peppered him with Tenketsu strikes. He let out a strangled noise, and fell paralyzed to the floor. "Okay, so, now that's out of the way." Sasuke wiped off his hands, and turned to the clearing in general. "Would somebody please tell me what the actual fuck is going on?" Haku sprinted through the village, trying to drown out the screams of the people as he rushed past. "You can't help them. There's too many. You have to stop it at its source." His head was on a swivel, looking desperately for their black cloaks, red clouds. The 2 orange-haired targets stood in the middle of a veritable pile of leaf-kneed corpses, looked up at Haku, just in time for a hurricane of ice Sinbon to bombard their location. A cloud of smoke erupted around them, and Haku landed just outside, on guard with his ears more than his eyes for their possible survival. Unsurprisingly, both were still standing, unharmed. What was surprising was that neither of them tried to do anything, just turning to look at Haku like they were only half paying attention to him. He mentally named them Spike Ears and Pig Face. Missed. Pigface said, out loud, reading his headband. Just visiting, I assume? You can leave, our fight is with this village and its Kyuubi. Mist and Leaf. Haku countered. And if you have a problem with Naruto, you have a prob. The moment he said Naruto's name, Spike ears charged at him. He'd been prepared, however, and hurled himself backwards, simultaneously conjuring a much more substantial spear of ice to hurl forwards. Spike caught it. The ice didn't melt, didn't shatter, just sort of vanished into his hand. Haku was so shocked he was almost unable to avoid the follow-up grab at his face. Almost. He rolled to one side, then backflipped up over a grapple from Pigface, before slamming his hands onto the floor. Hidden mist. Hiding in the mist jutsu. He shouted, using the hidden mist technique to summon mist he could be hidden in. Spike swept his arms around in a circle, and again seemed to be absorbing Haku's jutsu. However, he was the known quantity, and so not the current target. Haku passed him entirely, moving over with an ice dagger to behind Pig's back, and swiftly digging it into the back of his head. The mist cleared entirely. And then Pig turned round and grabbed Haku by the throat. What that would have worked. Pigface acknowledged, ice still sticking out the back of his head. If I was using this brain to do anything other than register what the eyes told me. Inner Zabuza, what do I do? Kill the Mizukage. Why are you even here? You know, that is the second time I have whiffed that technique against the Akatsuki. Haku coughed. What are you, some kind of puppet? Uzumaki Naruto. Pigface said, ignoring him. Behind appeared Haku's brain did a bit of a double take as a giant demon head appeared out of the ground. Where is he? You want me to rat out my first crush? Haku spat in his face. How about you go? An arm emerged from the demon mouth and grabbed Haku's tongue. And it pulled. Oh, wait, humans learned that Naruto will be here soon. Spike remarked, calmly, as Haku felt the most excruciating pain he had ever felt in his life, his insides being torn outside. Guess this is a waste of time. Alright, time for Deva to nuke this place and then we'll wait. Hakuyuki died, and the Naraka path dropped him as it and the Preta path moved to get out of the blast zone. All right, said Itachi. Sure, lengthy explanations, I'm only blind and dying from a deadly illness. You're still on Amaterasu watch, asshole. Sasuke warned him. Please don't use that anymore. Itachi winced, your eyes will be bad enough already. Sasuke grimaced. It was true. Even with his Sharingan active, it felt more like he had the vision of an ordinary ninja at this point, and he dreaded to think what his sight was like without his dojutsu. Noted. But keep talking. Hinata stood off to one side, looking between them. Right. So, wind the clock back just over a decade. Itachi began. 6 or 7 years since the Demon Fox attack, and the Uchiha are fucking pissed. You need to understand that plenty of people thought Madara should have been first Hokage rather than Hashirama, but then the latter killed the former and that was that. Second Hokage was Tobirama, and he just hated our entire clan. Shoved us into our own little zone on the edge of the village, you know the drill. And Sarutobi was next, and he didn't do anything about any of it. Skip to the important bit. Alright, Kami. So the third is getting old and the Uchiha go alright, it's about time the next one is one of us. But nope, Minato comes along. And then after he dies, Hiruzen gets the job back. The clan feels neglected, wronged, mistreated, yada yada. And people start to plan for a coup. You mentioned Dad was heading it. Sasuke asked, and Itachi nodded. They were going to rock up and kill the Hokage, declare themselves in charge. Now, me and Shursui disagreed, blew the whistle on them. The plan was for Shursui to use his Mangekyo ability, Koto Amatsukami, to control Fugaku and make him cancel the plan. It wouldn't have worked. Everyone turned to see Fugaku, laying flat on his back. He was paralyzed completely from Hinata's attack, but she'd left him in control of his voice. I never wanted the coup. I tried to stop it at every turn. But if I'd really put my foot down, they'd have killed me and put a maniac in charge. At least as clan head, I could try and mediate the damage. Sounds like being a bitch, but alright. Itachi groused. Oh, you're going to accuse me of being morally dubious? Kiddies, behave. Sasuke bit out. Right. Well, that plan obviously didn't pan out, because Shisui killed himself. Itachi continued. Oh, sure he did. Fugaku muttered. Fuck off, Dad, that part at least was true. Except that when I found him, he was already bleeding half to death and only had one eye left. Itachi shook, rage present on his face. He said he'd been attacked by Shimura Danzo. And then he killed himself in front of me, and I had to go up to the Hokage's tower that evening and report to that scheming root bastard. The original backup plan was for me to kill the Uchiha. What? Sasuke gaped. Go out and kill everyone except you. Itachi nodded, smiling fakely. Put down the rebellion before it even starts, run off to become a missing nin, job done. So why didn't you? Hinata asked him, desperately. What the hell did the Hyuuga have to do with any of this? Why did my family have to die? Pragmatism. Itachi spat the word out like it was a curse, and then actually spat on the floor for good measure. Danzo knew about the Mangekyo, and he didn't know that the Hyuuga had an alternative, neither did anyone. He couldn't bring himself to give up a clan that has such a powerful ability. So he appeased them. He proposed that the Uchiha should be given the political power they desire by removing their greatest rival. He exhaled, shakily. By killing the Hyuuga. 10 years ago. Neji sat in silence. He had listened to Itachi explaining the mission just as wordlessly, and continued to do nothing but look at the floor. Well? Itachi asked, nothing to say? Hinata. Neji said. She's safe. Itachi reassured him. I have the Hokage's word. Shouldn't be too hard to orchestrate it so that she's out of the compound and everyone else is in. The branch family? Neji continued. Will I have to kill my mom? Itachi winced, but answered no. As far as the rules go, the branch family has about as much political power as the main family's dog. They'll be Hinata's carers until she hits Chunin. Neji nodded. Went quiet again. Itachi waited for a whole minute, didn't get a response, and then snapped, oh come on man, give me something. I know this is fucked, I know, but what, are you in? Out? Do we tear apart the establishment, do you want me to do it myself? No response. Say something, Neji. Itachi begged, eventually. I don't know what to do. After another moment, Neji looked up, and Itachi almost jumped out of his skin. What in the fucking Uncle Hayashi did this to me? Said Neji, with his blank, white eyes. I can see lies now. I can see further. You, any idea what it is? Itachi paused. No, but he let his Sharingan flick out, then let it spin into his Mangekyo pattern. I got this yesterday. Neji just tilted his head. Not to be overly philosophical, you're always overly philosophical, but do you think it might be a sign? I think this is way too big of a deal to be deciding based on signs. Itachi replied, flatly. Point. Neji stood up. We do it. Itachi nodded. Good Jonin follow orders, right? Fuck the orders. Neji snarled, showing more emotion in those 3 words than he had in the last 2 months, at least in front of Itachi. I want to keep my village safe. And my family, they can't do this. He pointed to his own forehead, and the seal that lay there. Itachi nodded. All right. Let's plan this thing. Because we've got about as much chance of sneaking into the Hyuuga compound as we do of sneaking onto the moon, and the branch aren't exactly going to just let us through, and that was it? Sasuke shot. You just went along with it? Our other choices were worse. Itachi sighed. Go after the Uchiha anyway, and Danzo would have gone after us. Kill Danzo, which might have gotten us killed, and the village falls into just as much chaos. Take no action and Konoha suffers a civil war, and Kami knows what the other nations would do about that. They were innocent people, Hinata began, but Itachi appeared on his feet so suddenly Sasuke almost killed him on reflex. No. They were barbarians. They used traditions from hundreds of years ago as an excuse to enslave over 80% of their family, all out of nothing but fear. Do you have any idea what I heard from Neji about them? And he was innocent too, up until then. That doesn't justify a massacre. Hinata shouted. We are ninja. Itachi emphasized. Did they deserve it? No. But we had to do what we thought would spare the most lives overall. He slumped to the floor again. And besides, it didn't go to plan anyways. Blood hit the floor, and the Hyuga compound was in uproar. Sometimes the simplest option was the best, and in this case, walking through the front door had worked just fine. Itachi and Neji together wasn't an uncommon sight, and while Neji wasn't supposed to be returning to the compound, most of the family members were branch anyway. Out of respect, or fear, they waited and watched. And then the pair spotted Neji's grandfather. Hayashi and his wife, Hayashi's father and his wife, her mother, 3 generations of targets, 5 individuals, no reason to delay. Neji had struck, and a 10-year charade had begun. What the fuck, Itachi shouted, putting on his best impossibly horrified voice, only to be punched into the stomach so hard he was thrown into a wall and totally damaged his chakra points, you guys, which was why he wouldn't be fast enough to catch up in time as Neji raced forwards up the stairs, and the branch would still be trying to wrap their heads around what the hell had just happened, giving Neji time to crash through into Hayashi's bedroom and caged bird, clipped wings. Damn it, Neji, we said if your uncle was still awake we'd wait to go for him first. He heard Neji screaming from within the room and decided that, tactically, the best way to stop this evil intruder was to set the entire room on fire. The jutsu blasted from his mouth and through the doorway, and now he couldn't see, but the scream stopped, which was good because they'd agreed that Neji would only be that loud when he'd been caught in one of the clan's fucked up techniques. He crashed through the doorway, and saw both Hayashi and Neji stood on opposite sides of the room, facing each other. Hayashi's wife was a ninja in her own right, but she was stood in the corner clutching a kunai, with a look very much like someone who knew the child in front of her had surpassed her by age 8. Neji, what are you? Itachi tried to sound desperate, and then turned to Hayashi. Sir, I think he's under a jinjutsu. You have to. It wouldn't have been visible through the Byakugan, to all the others in the compound currently rushing towards the bedroom, but something on Itachi's face must have tipped Hayashi off. The elder glared down at the two of them. You're here to kill me, is that it? Both of you? Is this some delusional revenge? How many of the branch are scheming against me? Sir, Itachi tried, but Hayashi ignored him, turning to his wife. Do it, dear. All of them. I'll protect you. The woman, Itachi had never even bothered to learn her name, nodded, and began weaving a series of hand seals that Neji had shown him in advance. His heart skipped a beat. No! Abandoning all pretense, he and Neji rushed her at the same time, but were blocked by Hayashi, who used his greater size and strength to repel both for just long enough. Caged bird, unlatched flock. The woman said. Itachi didn't hesitate, Amaterasu. And his eyes flashed. The woman, screaming, was engulfed entirely in black fire, but it was too late. Neji held and collapsed to his knees, as did a branch member who had made it to the doorway, as did, in horrific tandem, every single member of the branch family in the entire clan. Caged bird unlatched kills the member it's directed at. But the flock variants of those abilities, Itachi roared and threw himself at Hayashi, and for a few seconds they engaged in a blistering taijutsu bout that ended with the man's hands about Itachi's neck, slamming him into the wall. Right, clan head, very strong. You killed my wife. Hayashi howled. You killed my friend. Itachi spat, preparing to use his painful new power one more time, but before he could, Hayashi was knocked sideways, struck in the side by a palm and thrown into a far wall. Itachi looked up in shock to see Neji stood over him, one hand reaching down to help him up. Neji's eyes were pure white, and his other hand came down from his forehead. A blank forehead. That's not possible. Hayashi muttered. That can't be possible. Go. Neji instructed. Take out the others. The ruse is up, the only ones who can see us now are on the hit list. You sure you can take this guy? Itachi asked, taking the hand. I'm sure. Neji turned to face his uncle. I'm not his prisoner anymore. Itachi didn't ask twice, turning and bolting out of the room. We finished the job. Itachi explained, dully. I sent a shadow clone back to the Uchiha compound to solidify my alibi. I remember that night. Sasuke gaped. Your eyes were bleeding. That was why? Itachi nodded, with a wry smile. And you were so damn happy to see me. The clone waited until news of the massacre came about, put on an amazing performance about how Neji couldn't have possibly etc., and then said it was going after him. I'd already met back up with Neji in the Hyuuga Gardens, and we both took off. Spent a week making preparations, tying up loose ends, and then I headed back to the village to proclaim Neji a traitor to Konoha, vowing an oath of vengeance to hunt him down and kill him. He joined the Akatsuki, reported on their plans and movements. I stayed here, and hurt. Sasuke turned to Hinata. Is he telling the truth? Slowly, she nodded. Every word. Sasuke looked at his brother, mouth opening and closing. He had absolutely no idea what to do. You could have told me. Everyone turned to look at Fugaku, still lying paralyzed on his back. Son, if you'd only explained you hated me. Itachi accused. Because I thought you a traitor. Fugaku replied. But if this is the truth, and you were only following orders, I thought I made my fuck orders philosophy very clear. You are trying to save your clan. Fugaku emphasized. While I imagine you will try stubbornly to deny it, you were always doing what you could to protect us. My loyalties were always to the village first, and the clan second. Itachi told him, flatly. We were at odds, because yours were the other way around. And if I had only realized that sooner, perhaps this could have been prevented. The father mused. Perhaps I would not have torn my own family apart. He paused. During the Third Ninja War, a dear friend of mine lay dying in my arms. I wanted to take him back to the medics at our camp. They would likely have been able to save him, but he begged me not to, begged me to finish the mission, because if I did not more would die. So I slit his throat, my Mangekyo awakened, and I went on. It was the next day that I decided to take you out to see the war front. I wanted you to see what the ninja world does to us, Itachi. But it seems you learned that for yourself quite well. And now look at us. Itachi snorted. Two blind idiots lying in a pool of our own mistakes. Sasuke looked between them and sighed. All right. I'm taking both your asses back to the Uchiha compound, and we're letting out Izumi, and then we're all going to sit down and have a very long talk. He was trying to decide whether there was any point in handcuffing either ninja when a quiet voice spoke up from beside him. Don't think you're off the hook, said Hinata, looking between them. Don't think for a fucking second that you're off the hook just because you've had your happy family reunion. There's one thing you're forgetting. Itachi frowned, then let out a quiet ah of understanding. The branch was only your fault indirectly. Hinata told him, walking towards him. I'll accept that. And my father, mother, grandparents, they were shinobi. The ninja world is fucked, shit like this happens. But there was one person in that compound who wasn't a shinobi. Who wasn't even 5 years old. She grabbed him by his lapels, shoving him back into the tree so that it splintered. You spared me? She yelled in his face. Well, what about my sister? What about Hanabi? Itachi looked down, and was silent. Hinata gave him a few seconds, then nodded. Okay. Fugaku made it necessary, Danzo made the call, Sarutobi stood by, and you and Neji did the deed. That's the complete list, right? She brought one hand back, and summoned a Chidori. Hinata, no! Sasuke shouted, darting towards her, and she threw the technique forwards. Boom. Everyone froze as the noise hit them, followed by a shockwave that would have thrown civilians off their feet, followed by a hurricane of dust that had all of them coughing. What the fuck? Sasuke grimaced and forced his smarting eyes open, trying to see in the direction of the noise. Oh no. Itachi said quietly. Hinata dropped him and turned as well, Byakugan activating fully as she let her field of vision spread the 10 kilometers or so to the sound source. What she saw made her freeze. What? Who? Pain? Itachi answered. Oh, Kami, why did we have to do this now? What happened? Hinata, what happened? Sasuke grabbed his teammate's shoulder. Konoha. She choked out. It's gone. Pain looked out over the damage that the chaotic Shinra Tensei had wrought. The heads of the past Hokage, up on the great cliff wall, were basically all that was left of Konohagakure. The current Hokage was still alive, it seemed, off by the cliffside. Other than that though, there was pretty much nothing except a single, enormous, perfectly circular hole in the ground. All except for one incredibly conspicuous orange dot. The Deva path floated down, landed, and walked slowly forwards, as the other 5 paths reassembled themselves behind it. Once he moved closer, the dot resolved itself into a person. A young boy, maybe 16, 17, with bright blonde hair and blue eyes. The boy stood there, watching him. Uzumaki Naruto, said Pain. It wasn't a question. Uzumaki Nagato, Naruto replied. You know me? The toads filled a lot in. Naruto looked around. Right where I'm stood, or maybe, I dunno, about 20 meters up. There used to be this really great ramen shop. He began. This guy, Ichiraku, he ran it, and he was a total legend, right? Now I'ma tell you a secret I've never told anyone else. I don't really like ramen as much as I make out to everyone. Like it's nice, I'll eat it, but there are other foods, you know? Pain tilted his head. But the thing about Ichiraku, Naruto continued, is that out of every food stall and restaurant and shop in this village, he was the only vendor who'd treat me like any other kid. I'd hop up on the stool, he'd go Naruto, like he was so glad to see me, and I'd go give me the big bowl special, and he'd make it while asking me about my day, and I'd laugh and tell him about all the pranks I'd pulled. He breathed in, swallowed, and kept going. So then ramen was my favorite food. Course there isn't an Ichiraku ramen shop anymore, because you just blew it up. There was silence. A gust of wind whipped up some dust. You, Naruto said, slowly, are my least favorite person. And I don't usually go around disliking people for being bad to me, because if I did then I would have trashed Konoha myself a long time ago. But you killed Jiraiya, you destroyed my village, you, Nagato, have hurt me. I have shown you pain. Nagato told him. I get it, it's your name, that's clever. Naruto laughed, weakly. Yeah, you've hurt me. So I'm going to tear your paths apart, and then I'm going to find you, and then I'm going to kill you. Very well. The Deva path shifted back into stance. Try. Family Matters Number 4. The Rinnegan is the greatest ojutsu in the world. That is a fact. Its ocular prowess is a match for that of the Sharingan, but that is the least impressive of its abilities. The Rinnegan seems to be unlocked in a Sharingan wielder who cultivates the chakra of the Sage of 6 Paths within their body. Why this was achieved when I absorbed Hashirama's chakra, and not between any other Uchiha and Senju, I do not know. Regardless, here are its abilities. The Preta path can absorb chakra, consuming ninjutsu or directly draining an opponent. The Naraka path can summon the King of Hell. The King of Hell can completely heal harmed or even crippled ninja, repair paths, and can tell when people are lying, and kill them instantly if they are grappled. The Animal path can summon a menagerie of giant animal summons and see through their eyes. Can also summon other people or paths. The Human path can rip a person's soul out at close range, killing them instantly and reading their mind. The Azura path can sprout extra mechanical limbs and fire missiles, lasers, etc. The Deva path flight, powerful omnidirectional projections of force, general telekinesis, and the ability to form Chibaku Tensei planetoids to seal hostiles inside or just use as projectiles. The outer path use chains and rods to emit and absorb chakra. operate up to 6 corpses as extra bodies in combat, which can, but do not have to, each be given one path, though this will prevent the Rinnegan user using that path directly. Corpses used retain all abilities and bloodline limits from their life, but are directly under the Rinnegan user's control, who can see through all their eyes simultaneously. The outer path also allows the demonic statue of the outer path to be summoned, into which bijou can be stored, and unlocks the technique Rinne Rebirth. This is a jutsu that can resurrect, truly, from the dead, a staggering amount of individuals based on the user's chakra expenditure. Its only limits are that it can only restore people whose souls are in the Pure Lands, and it is a suicide jutsu that will always kill the user. The drawbacks to Rinnegan overuse manifest as massive bodily weakness and even becoming crippled, especially in those who have transplanted the eye, rendering costs greater. This is not due to any naturally corruptive process, like that of the Mangekyo Sharingan, but rather the immense chakra costs on every single technique's use. Uchiha Stone Tablet, author unknown. Okay, but it's totally Madara, right? Itachi, shit. He's got him. More details, Hinata. Leaving Itachi and Fugaku laying in the woods might have seemed a bad idea, but the 2/3 of Team 7 who had done it felt they were pretty damn justified given the fact that Konoha had just been you-know-what. We're just not going to think about that right now. Now, the speed of Sasuke and Hinata meant that the journey of many kilometers could be made in under 10 seconds, even as exhausted as they were. However, that also meant that other things could happen in that time. For instance, Hinata's Byakugan had just shown her the most ridiculously epic battle she'd ever seen. And, even in that short a time, it was over. "I think this is pain," she told Sasuke. 6 people with identical eyes and chakra, but different powers. Naruto fought him, using some power I can't even see. And? Only one is left. But Naruto's on the ground. The evidence was provided a moment later, when both of them leapt from the woods, cleared the sill of the pit, and dropped down, gaining a clear view of what was going on. Naruto looked up at them, eyes widening. He had black rods sticking out of his arms, legs, and back, which the dojutsu of his would-be rescuers showed were doing something to his chakra. Hina, his voice cracked, and then he started screaming at them. "No! Get out of here!" The orange-haired man turned. There was a subsonic boom. Black fire and white crystal blossomed, but a sphere of force outbound from pain caught both techniques, forcing both straight back where they came from. Sasuke and Hinata both dodged the flak, pushing to close the distance, both generating a Chidori and coming at Pain from different angles, but he held out one hand and Hinata was frozen in place, lifted bodily off the floor and made to hover, and then Pain's other hand slapped away Sasuke's Chidori with pitiful ease and struck his chest with a flat palm, throwing him backwards. Hinata substituted with some rubble, teleporting out of the grip and appearing behind Pain, but he simply booted her backwards before her attack could land, turning to grip her in his telekinesis again and throw her in the opposite direction. She landed in a heap with Sasuke. "What in Kami's name has this guy been eating?" Sasuke groaned, standing up. The fact that Pain was fast enough to react to Hinata was bad enough, but even with the Sharingan Sasuke hadn't been able to predict him, and that was even worse. "Shinra Tensei has a cooldown," Naruto shouted to them, desperately. 5 milliseconds. "Actually, ignore that, just go. Run. Live," Pain simply told them. "Nobody else, but the Nine Tails host has to die today. Those who fail their missions are trash." Sasuke and Hinata chorused. "But those who abandon their teammates are worse than trash." The former looked at the latter, and threw a quick Jinjutsu her way. "I'm running on fumes, and so are you. We need to free Naruto. He might be the only one who has a chance against this guy." Hinata fired one back. "Any plans?" "How fast's your white body thingy?" "Very. Go for our teammate. I'll buy you your time." Both turned back to Pain, who was simply stood there waiting patiently. There was a flash, and Sasuke's Susanoo burst into existence again as he charged straight for his adversary. The skeleton punched once, twice, impacts that made the stone around their target buckle, but Pain just caught the things on his forearms. Annoying, but part of the plan. Hinata's Vishnu wrapped around her body, and she threw up a giant cone of debris behind her from the sheer speed as she beelined diagonally towards Naruto. Not stopping, she pulled up the lion fists as her best option for smashing the black rods to pieces, intending to jump straight over Naruto and sever them all in one swing. Pain tried to reach out his hand towards her, but Sasuke, hoping the somatic component was essential for his telekinesis, conjured up the Magatama beads and wrapped them around Pain's arms, trapping them in front of him. I'm gonna black out in the next 2 seconds from the drain, but maybe Hinata reached her target, jumping, bringing lion fists round. Bansho Tenin. Pain intoned. Hinata was yanked towards Pain, the universal pull snatching her when she was barely millimeters from Naruto. Sasuke cried out in alarm as he was pulled out from inside the Susanoo, and the purple avatar vanished, as did the beads around Pain's arms. He reached out and grabbed both ninja by the skull, holding them aloft and digging in with his fingers. They screamed. No. On the floor, Naruto looked at him in horror. No, please. Don't. Please, not them, I don't have anyone else. You would not leave even if I offered now, would you? Pain asked his 2 captives. Fuck you. Hinata spat. I don't know, man, maybe you should, try and see. Sasuke gasped out. Let them go. Naruto begged. Please, you already have me, they're no threat to you, just Why is it that you care so much? Said the path, to the 2 people in his hands. Without using your cute little words like teammate to dodge the question. Even knowing it is hopeless, why must you die trying to save him? Because I love him. There was a brief pause. Nobody breathed in that interval. But Sasuke looked at Hinata, and Hinata looked at Sasuke, and both of them looked at Naruto. Both felt a certain warmth, that they had both said the exact same thing at the exact same time. And then Pain squeezed, and their skulls crushed inwards. Everything went red. Naruto knelt in the river that represented his chakra, and sobbed. He was briefly aware of combat happening. That the chakra receiver's Pain had put in his body had simply evaporated as he brought out more Kyuubi chakra than he ever had before. The mind-breaking effects of the overabundance of yang chakra didn't seem to be reaching him, curiously enough. Though his body was tearing what was left of the terrain to shreds, screaming, roaring, trying with every fiber of its being to stamp out the man who had taken everything from him, his mind simply knelt and cried. You know, I pity you. The Kyuubi said, casually, from behind its bars. Naruto's attempts to make the mindscape more interesting had crumbled, it was a sewer again. Honestly, I do. Naruto didn't reply. I actually know those eyes. Continued the fox. The man who's using them against you isn't their original owner. Actually, he might be. The Sage of 6 Paths had the Rinnegan, he's the one who created us. I have a feeling Madara might have gotten a hold of them, he never had them when I saw him, but, well, Madara's Madara. That's the one who controlled me, by the way. The first time I attacked the village. Not sure about the second, really. Mask and Sharingan, about all I can give you to go on there. Outside, the fight was going poorly. None of their attacks seemed to be doing anything. Want me to give you the next tale of power? The Kyuubi offered. Naruto, who had stopped crying at some point, nodded. Sure. Go 6. Or 7. 8. Fuck it, I don't care anymore, the fox shrugged, but obliged. Their outside form shifted, cells growing, dying, and growing again, the red aura manifesting more solidly as bone and flesh. A claw caught Pain, and threw him almost 100 meters deep into the earth. This is why I made sure to hate you. The Kyuubi mused. Not just the whole captured forever thing. Because loving anything is a waste of time. If you love anything in this world, there'll always be someone that comes along to take it from you. Hate's easier. On the outside, Pain shouted something. The rocks around them shifted, floating upwards, taking the Jinchuriki with them. Ha! The Kyuubi mused. I know that move. Hagoromo made the moon with it. Oh, really? Naruto asked, quietly. Yeah. Think he wanted to trap his mom in it, or something. I wasn't paying too much attention when he explained it. Yeah. I know that feeling. When the teacher's droning on, and it's just not that interesting? Naruto laughed. There was nothing in the sound. Their view of the outside seemed to cut off, their body wasn't seeing anything, hearing anything. They were within the planetoid. The Kyuubi frowned. Ugh. That's not good. I can't break out of this thing. Or, I could, at max power, but you want out? That stopped the fox in its tracks. Come again? You want me to let you out? Naruto repeated, standing up and walking over. It sounds like he has some nasty plans for you if we can't get you out of this thing. A great eye peered down at Naruto. I thought I'd have to convince you a little more. The boy shrugged. I reckon whatever you do, you'll kill him if you can. If I don't let you out, we're stuck in here. He wins, and all of this was for nothing. You are aware, the Kyuubi began, that when you let me out I will kill you. Yeah. Naruto nodded. That's probably for the best, really. The fox paused, and looked at him. For the first time, the beast's face seemed to register genuine concern. I don't have to kill you to escape. I could probably get out of here with just 8 tails, yeah, I figured. Naruto replied, calmly. Do it anyway. He's taken everything, Whiskers. I don't have anything left. For the record. Kyuubi said. I wasn't actually going to destroy everything you loved, if you let me go. I just wanted to be alone. You'll get to give it a try, then. Naruto tried for a smile. Just a heads up though? Trust me when I say, being alone isn't all it's cracked up to be. He reached up to the central bar in the Kyuubi's cage and snatched the sticky note right off of it, closing his eyes in preparation for the inevitable. And nothing happened. Naruto frowned, opened his eyes, and looked down at the sticky note. Lock was scribbled on the side he'd always seen. Turning it over to the flip side, he saw in case of emergency, rip me. For years, the one thing in your head that isn't there from the 9 tails, and you don't even bother to check the other side of it, Naruto muttered to himself, then tore the paper in two. That got a reaction. There was a flash of white light in the chamber, behind Naruto, who turned and put a hand over his eyes to try and make out the form that had just appeared. The fox saw it first. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You're supposed to be dead. Well. Namake's Minato shrugged. I suppose technically I am. He turned to smile at Naruto. Hey, kid. Look at you, all grown up. Last I saw you, you were a baby. You're the 4th Hokage. Naruto gaped. You're the one that put him into me. Minato chuckled. That's true. I'm so sorry that was necessary. You were just a baby, and Kushina told me right from the start that if I got you involved in all this crap before you were old enough she'd, and I quote, beat my ass 4 ways to Sunday and not give me any sex for a month. Naruto blinked. Come again? Oh, right. Minato straightened. Big reveal time. Ahem. Kakashi never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. Naruto replied in a monotone, dutifully. He told me you killed him. No, Naruto. I am your father. Yeah, I know. Join me, and together come again? Yeah, I sort of figured that part out about 2 years ago. Naruto shrugged. Nice to get it confirmed before I die, though. Minato looked thoroughly put out. What? How? Who told you? I spent 4 years training with Jiraiya. Naruto pointed out. Between him, Kakashi, and Granny Tsunade, they couldn't quite keep straight all the cool stuff my cool ninja dad did and all the cool stuff the 4th Hokage did. Plus your relationship with Uzumaki Kushina, you know, the only Uzumaki in the village, even if I hadn't been told she was my mom, wasn't as secret as you tried to keep it. Fucking Konoha rumor mill. Minato sighed, looking thoroughly dejected. Anyway, how are you here? Naruto asked. Yeah, what kid said? The Nine-Tails growled. I stabbed your ass, I'm sure of it. Okay, well, I'm not actually here. Minato explained. Minato is in the belly of the Reaper. Trick is, when you sell your soul to the god of death to do some sealing jutsu, you basically get to do whatever the hell you want. You're talking to a fragment of Minato's chakra that's capable of mimicking his consciousness for about 5 seconds, and we've only expended one of those so far. That sounds like total bullshit. Naruto pointed out. Yeah, well, you see, said the Kage, I'm Namake's Minato. Fuck you, I can do whatever I want. Fair enough. Anyway, why the hell are you trying to free the Kyuubi? Minato glared at his son. Let me guess, fighting someone? Actually, let me just take a look at your memories. Oh, fuck. That's bad. Yeah. Naruto grimaced. Sorry, I let your village get blown up. Yeah, fuck, alright. Minato blew out a breath between his lips, making a PTHFPHFTH sound. Okay, that's bad, that is bad, alright. I think I can get you out of here. You've still got some sage chakra left, and now that you know what this pain guy can do, I don't want to. That made Minato look up, sharply. You what? He killed my teammates. Naruto told him, brokenly. Right in front of me. Jiraiya was my mentor for years, and he's dead too. And so's Iruka, and Ichiraku, and Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, Sakura, Haku, Kakashi, they're just gone, now. Forever. If I get out there, and beat him, and then stand up in the wreckage of everything I've ever loved, what would I do? Oh, you poor thing. Minato took 2 steps forwards, and wrapped Naruto in a hug. I'm so sorry. If I'd known about everything you were going to go through, I would have found a way to be here. But you weren't. Naruto extricated himself from the hug. Look, I know you care and all, but he winced. You're not my dad. You're the 4th Hokage. I don't know you. Minato looked hurt, but nodded. That's fair. But that doesn't mean I'm going to let you die here. You can't exactly stop me. Naruto pointed out. I can damn well try. How do I let out the tentacle fox, sir? I don't think you need him for that. Kyuubi pointed out. I think if you just, okay, Fox, how about you just shut up? For a minute? Minato glared at it. How about I tell Kit how little your dick is, huh? I saw everything Kushina saw, remember? Minato groaned. Kami, it was hard enough to deal with you when I was hearing your comments filtered through my wife. Look, Naruto. Would your teammates want you to do this? Naruto stopped. Glared. That's a fucking low blow. Would they? Minato persisted. How the fuck would I know? We've got pretty categorical proof the afterlife exists, maybe they just want to see me again. And now you're trying to lie to yourself. Something I understand you used to do a lot, before you met them. Oh, read my mind, that's fair. Whatever I am to you, you're my son. Minato told him. Naruto, you have been through hell and back, and you've never once given up before. Well, what the hell are my motives supposed to be? Naruto shouted at him, eyes red and puffy. I can't prove the village wrong, they're dead. I can't succeed for my friends, they're dead. Dead. Then honor them. Minato stressed. Be the person that they would want you to be. Naruto clenched his eyes shut. Prick. He grimaced. We don't all get to sacrifice ourselves to save our friends, you know. Some of us have to be the ones who live afterwards. Minato didn't reply. Almost a full second of real time passed. Then Naruto hissed out a breath and opened his eyes, turning to the cage bars. Kyuubi. He said. I'm gonna have to do a rain check on that freeing you thing. Oh, fuck you, a temporary one. I'm going to kill this bastard, and then I'm going to report to Tsunade, and then I'm going to give my teammates a burial. After that, all bets are off. The Ninetales huffed and turned its head away. I'll take it. You're bigger than your dad, by the way. Did not need to know that. Naruto looked back at his dad. So? How do I get out of here? Minato grinned and put his hands together. Oh, don't you worry. I'm the Yellow Flash, remember? If there's one thing I'm good at, it's getting out of what happened to my knives. You what? Minato frowned. The three-pronged kunai. There should be a bunch of those in a box somewhere. Oh, yeah, those. Naruto winced. I tore all the seals off them to replace them with explosive tags. And then I blew them all up. Oh, for Minato rolled his eyes. Right, let's see if there are others. Okay, there's one. He looked across to Naruto. Are you ready? All my chakra's gonna go when I do this. This is the last you'll see of me. Naruto thought. Then managed to smile with some semblance of real emotion. Yeah. I think I know everything I need to. You got it, squirt. Minato grinned. I am so damn proud of you. Flying Thunder God. Damn it, you bastard, get up, ma'am, he's dead. I'm sorry, Lady Hokage, but he's not getting up. Tsunade took her hands away and angrily wiped tears away from her eyes. What's the point in being the best fucking medic in the 5 nations, huh? What's even the fucking point? She stood up. In front of her, the broken remains of Hitaki Kakashi lay half submerged in dirt and debris. It was obvious, when she looked, that he'd been dead before the village wiping attack had even struck, and then been tossed away from the explosion center. She turned around, looking at the ninja with her. Less than 50 people had survived out of a population in the tens of thousands, less than 20 of those in fighting shape. There was no way it was enough. She looked up in desperation at the village's only hope, encased in a giant stone planetoid floating high above the remnants of the village. Come on, Naruto. If you're alive in there, please don't give up yet. Unnoticed by the group, one of Kakashi's many pockets had ripped in the chaos. Sticking out of that pocket, just catching the light, was the tip of a very peculiar kunai. Tsunade was about to turn away and look for anyone else to help when, without a poof of smoke, flash of light, or even a flicker to belay its activation, a certain orange figure appeared next to Kakashi's body. He looked down at it, grimaced, and looked back up, to where Tsunade had just jumped halfway out of her skin. Wa, Nara ma'am. Permission to leave the village? Asked the blonde, eyes hard. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. For what purpose, Chunin? To give the terrorist back his moon. Naruto told her. Permission granted. In a cave in the mountains, Nagato was coughing up blood. On flat ground some distance away, the remaining path of pain looked up at his handiwork. And frowned. Am I tripping, or is that Chibaku Tensei getting bigger? The Chibaku Tensei didn't reply. It just built up speed. The Deva path's eye widened. Shinra tens about 5 million kilograms of moon slammed into pain, shattering into uncountable pieces, and it was followed up by about 50 kilograms of screaming, angry Naruto. The latter being much more terrifying. The impact of the planetoid colliding with Pain's hastily thrown up defense dug him deeper into the earth, its entire structure falling apart around him. How? He shouted. The Chibaka Tensei is designed to seal in the bijou. How did you escape? A hand gripped his shoulder. And the sage, the Jinchuriki, the hero, said because I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Fuck you, I can do whatever I want. And a Rasengan colluded with the side of Pain's head. Move, Nagato. Do I look like I'm in a state to move? Then I'll carry you, just let me get you out of that. Damn, it's alright, Conan. Nagato told her, quietly. He's won. There's nowhere we can run faster than he can. He's right, said a voice from the behind them. Both looked up. Naruto was stood in the cave's entrance. He checked one of the black rods to the floor, and it rolled to a stop in front of them. Cute trick, he remarked. Then, fuck me, I'm starting to sound like some sort of edgy shonen protagonist. I kid. Conan looked at him in disgust. This is Konoha's greatest weapon? He's, what, 16? And how old were we when we first fought in a war? Pain asked, rhetorically. Conan. Please go. She spun back to him. No. I'm not ditching you to he will kill you, Conan. Pain was, to his credit, completely ignoring Naruto in favor of his lover. Please. I cannot lose another teammate. Unlike shriveled ribs over here, I don't make a habit of murdering the loved ones of my targets. Naruto told her. If you surrender, you'll live. If you run, it'll be a while before you're followed. Conan glared at him. Sheets of white paper began to flake off her body. I don't care if it's a 1 in 100 chance. A 1 in 1,000. I'll risk it to save him. What do you think your teammates would have done? Naruto looked down. I already know. So I suppose I should respect that. He looked back up, orange appearing around his eyes. Rinna Tensei. Nagato said, interrupting the rising tensions. Conan turned around and stared at him in horror. What? No, I'm using it. Nagato told her. Whatever happens. So that 1 in 1,000 chance won't win you anything but ashes. Please don't throw your life away as a matter of principle. Rain needs you. You son of a bitch. Conan said, quietly. She turned back, walked over to him, and placed a kiss on his cheek, before vanishing into a flurry of paper. Naruto took the time to have a proper look at his opponent. Nagato was pitiful, really. He looked stretched, beyond anorexic and into grossly unwell. Blood-red hair fell down to his shoulders in matted, unkempt clumps. His skin was ash-gray, and covered in sweat. Naruto looked him up and down. Oh, that's not fair. You've got a bigger dick than me. What? Nagato replied. Sage mode. I can see everything. Naruto replied. It's kinda bullshit, really, look at the rest of you. Is this why Paper-chan stuck with you? Because, fair enough. Oh, by Kami, you're just like Jiraiya. Nagato groaned. Always, he coughed, always making your jokes, even at times like this. What is it, a coping mechanism? What, you never understood that? Naruto tilted his head. We just try and make people smile. It's our way of making the world a better place. Making the world a better place, you really think it's that simple? Nagato asked. Gotta try something. Naruto shrugged. What was your plan? Kidnap all 9-tailed beasts, use them to power the demonic statue of the Outer Path, use it as a superweapon to enforce peace on every corner of the world with threat of annihilation. Nagato replied, calmly. Naruto blinked. Ha. Yeah, that's a lot better thought out. People would lose all their freedom though. Would they take freedom even if it meant more pain? Maybe. People tend to do that. Naruto paused. I once heard this thing, I think the old man once taught it in a manipulation class. He said that if you promise someone 50 ryo for doing something, you'll get so many people to do it. But if you give them 5 ryo, unconditionally, and then ask them, you'll get way more. There were studies, and everything. I just thought, ain't it weird that even though I'm learning how to kill people for a living, it turns out that it does pay to just be nice sometimes? Nagato looked at him, closely. Really? I never got that lesson. Never got any lesson, really. My world was always war. Maybe if it hadn't been, I might have grown up differently, but here we are. He coughed, again. What will happen to my village? Rain will have to negotiate with the Hokage. Naruto began, I lead Hidden Rain. And I'm negotiating with you. Nagato told him, flatly. Well, they'll probably be charged with a declaration of war, ordered to surrender, and pay us back for the shit you've done. We might just invade them and move Konoha there, given our entire populace is gone. Depends what your waifu does when she gets back. We won't go slaughtering innocent civilians, if that's what you're asking. About as good a deal as I could have expected. Nagato winced, then did something with his wrists, and freed his hands from the restraints they were in. He put them together in front of himself, and Naruto conjured a Rasengan as warning, but something told him the other Uzumaki wasn't preparing an attack. An unconditional offer is of more worth than a conditional one, you said? Nagato asked him. Very well. Here is mine. Samsara of Heavenly Life Technique Rinna Tensei. Naruto felt the technique. Felt it in his every nerve. Nagato's chakra, and more than that, his soul, was poured into the move, and Naruto's sage mode let him see as the freaking demon head appeared out of the ground again. It opened its mouth and something came out. Something greater than Naruto had ever seen. It's been what, 5 minutes since I started the attack? Nagato wheezed. His hair was going white. That's lucky. The further into the past I reach, the harder the technique gets. What Naruto gulped. What did you just do? I undid the attack. How would Jiraiya say it? It's just a prank, bro, ha, ha, ha. Nagato's arms slumped downwards, as did his head. Make sure to hold them close, understand? I wish I had had longer with my team. You undid. Naruto's voice cut off with a gasp, as he sensed what was happening back in Konoha. Goodbye, cousin. If nothing else, you were the best fight I've ever had. The Akatsuki's true mission, Naruto, it was to save the world. I hereby entrust that mission to you. Nagato sucked in one last breath. Oh, and there's one last thing I absolutely have to tell you, he trailed off. Nagato? Naruto asked. There was no response. He reached forwards and put his hand to the man's neck. No pulse. Motherfucker. Move the rubble. We'll help sense the civilians, get them out. Come on, we have whole seconds until they run out of air, that's forever. We still have a chance to do this all with 0 deaths, but only if we get everyone to healers right now. Naruto's shadow clones, exhausted as he was, he had only been able to make 100 or so, were spearheading the rescue efforts of the suddenly alive and healthy Leaf citizens who suddenly found themselves in terrible positions such as hanging off ledges, laying at the bottom of a body of water, or trapped under 20 feet of rock and brick dust. The actual Naruto wasn't paying any attention to any of that. Where are they? Where the hell are they? He growled to himself, shoving people aside. Shouldn't have exhausted all the sage chakra this side of hidden sand, now I can't sense them eventually. He had an idea, and cupped his mouth with his hands. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is a monster. He shouted as loud as he could. Fight me! Immediately responded 2 voices. There they are. He started sprinting in their direction. Eventually, the crowds parted, and Naruto locked his eyes onto 2 people who had clearly been doing the same thing in the opposite direction. Hinata and Sasuke saw him, and they both grinned. The sheer relief Naruto felt in that moment almost drove him to his knees. The trio crashed into each other, with a hug that would have crushed civilians to dust. You're alive. Thank fuck. You were dead. Naruto buried his head in the clothing of one of them, he didn't even care. You were, oh Kami, I thought I was alone again. We're here. Hinata told him. We're here, we're alive, and none of us are ever leaving again, understand? Never. Sasuke agreed. We're a motherfucking team, right? They were all crying, beat up and bruised, stood in the middle of a wasteland. Konoha had been flattened, thousands were homeless, attempts at repairs hadn't even begun yet, and the consequences of the event would be unimaginable. None of it mattered. Team 7 was back together again, and in that moment, no force in the world could have torn them apart. Aftermath Number 7 Confessions. Which brings us to today. Hinata finished. The 3 were sat in one of the many makeshift hospital rooms that had been created in the area. Itachi Uchiha was lying unconscious on the cot. Wait, hold on. Naruto held up a hand, counting on his fingers. So I killed Kakuzu in pain, Sasuke killed Haiden and Sasori, you killed Deidara, who I thought I killed but I didn't, Orochimaru and Neji. Wait, crap, that puts you in the lead, I won't take the Orochimaru point. Hinata waved it off. He left the Akatsuki long before we ever met him. You know, Sasuke hedged, technically since Neji was betraying the Akatsuki, don't push your luck. She narrowed her eyes. All right. So we're tied? Huh. Sasuke blinked. What happens if we destroy the Akatsuki completely and we're all even? Everyone does the forfeit? Naruto offered. We just all hand-feed each other? That could be funny. Or we all make 2 shadow clones that have to dote on the others for the period. Sasuke chipped in. Not that it matters either way. I'll just go off alone and kill all the remaining Akatsuki myself, then I can finally get compensation for all the shit you guys put me through. Heh. Oh, and speaking of going off alone, Naruto turned and looked pointedly at Hinata. The Hyuga exhaled loudly. Right, yeah, time to stop putting this off, she looked up at both of them. Okay. Look, I'm not sorry for wanting revenge. Oh, of course. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Please, let me finish. Hinata cut across him, pain clear in her voice. I'm not sorry for wanting revenge. Neji needed to be stopped. And I can't apologize for hating him, because it would be the same as giving up on a part of myself. But I am sorry that I left the leaf. That part one mean yes, Orochimaru made me stronger, but how much stronger? It's not like he's the only one who could have found out how to unlock the Gokiai, and if I'd stayed I could have shared my knowledge with you, and she sighed. I should have stayed with my village. With my team. Yes, Neji needed to go down, but we should have taken him down together. Especially now knowing what was going on behind the scenes. She paused, then got down on her knees, and put her forehead to the floor. I fucked up real bad, and I almost got everyone I love killed. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. The 2 boys looked at each other. You recorded that on the Sharingan, right? Naruto asked. Of course. Sasuke smirked, looking back down. Get up, Hyuga. She did, slowly, and he met her eyes. Do you promise never to run off again without our express permission? I do. She nodded. All right then. Naruto pronounced. You're off the hook. Welcome back to Team 7, Hinata. Her face lit up like a Christmas tree, and she crashed into the 2 of them for another group hug. Yeah, all right. Also don't try and murder my brother again. Sasuke reminded her, disentangling himself. Oh, speaking of. You gonna stop pretending you're asleep yet? There was a shuffle and a sigh as Itachi, obviously struggling, sat up in bed. Sorry. You were having a moment. That was when the door slammed open and an exhausted-looking Kakashi staggered through, collapsing into a sitting position against the wall. This was the most intense day I've had since the 3rd Ninja War. Is Haku around? Naruto checked. Headed R to report to the Mizukage. Then everyone who's left the Uzumaki's face darkened for a moment, but he shook it off, from the squad is here. All right, sound off. Who's dead? Well. Kakashi began. Good news, due to the fortuitous intervention of our healing squad and many Naruto, we've actually managed to do this without any casualties. Woo came the muffled cheering from everyone else. Situation with Rain? Itachi asked. Ask the diplomat. Kakashi shrugged, looking pointedly at Naruto, who coughed. Ahem. Well, as official manager of diplomacy with Hidden Rain, like an hour ago Konan walked through a chaotic sea of displaced villagers, most of whom completely ignored her, making her way towards where a very tired-looking Uzumaki was shouting orders at the top of his lungs. There's one under that house, get one of the Earth-style users to shift the debris and just hey, it's you. He turned, and finally took notice of her. Uzumaki Naruto. She inclined her head. Hey. Keikogami? Konan. Yeah, thought so. He jumped down from his perch, a particularly large pile of rubble, until he was face to face with her. So need something? Conan held out her arm, and a bouquet of paper flowers appeared in her hand. She offered it to him. He frowned. Is this a romantic thing? It's a symbol of our surrender. She sighed, a small smile tugging at one corner of her mouth for a moment. That is to say, the surrender of the Rain Village. Right, got it. He hesitantly reached out and took the bouquet. This is actually really nice, I'll keep this. Do you have any conditions? Please don't murder us all. She replied. Right, concise. As I said in the cave, I'm not gonna let anyone go slaughtering civilians in your village. Naruto looked around. Shouldn't you be talking to Tsunade about this sort of thing? Nagato overcame your whole village, and you overcame him. She replied, flatly. You're the one with the negotiating power here. Naruto paused, and let that sink in. Oh. Right. Yeah. We'll not screw you over, I promise. Wouldn't mind that in writing, but I'll take it. Conan replied. I'd also like to formally offer Rain Village's help wherever it is required. I'm aware gathering lumber might be easier to do from the forests surrounding you, but if you require food, water, or other supplies while you are rebuilding, you need only ask. We are not a rich village, but if you want coin, we'll give you what we can. Okay, for all that you will have to talk to someone else. Naruto pointed out. I have no idea how to rebuild a village. All right. She hesitated. There's one other thing. Did Nagato tell me about what? Naruto blinked. I suppose not then. She looked to one side. Well, suffice it to say, I recommend that you make your way to Rain as soon as possible. There's something you'll need to see. I sent her off to talk to some clever people, and they hashed something out. Then she took Pain's bodies and left. Naruto finished. Conan's the only other ninja in Rain, apparently. Even if she is S rank, they're not going to be threatening Konoha again. And the Akatsuki? Kakashi asked. Scattered. Itachi said, from his bed. Pain was the leader, and from what Neji told me, the whole Gather the Bijou plan was all his idea. Without him to lead them, the remaining members are Kisame, the animal, Zetsu, the info guy, and Tobi, the maniac. None of them are going to be organizing anything anytime soon. I wouldn't be so sure about Tobi. Hinata spoke up, frowning. The madness is an act. Neji only ever got second-person accounts of him. Itachi said, curious. What, is there more to him? It's complicated. Tell you all later. So, we can actually take a break for once? Sasuke asked, with a hopeful smile. The smile died when he saw Kakashi's expression. Ah shit. Yeah. Kakashi cracked his neck. Want the indifferent news, the bad news, or the worse news? Let's just have them in that order. Naruto advised. Got it. The indifferent news, the other Kage want to know what the fuck's going on. Remember that all the tailed beasts except the 8 and 9 tails are still missing? They've called a Kage summit to discuss the problem. A what now? Naruto asked. Kage summit. Hinata supplied. All the Kage meet up in the independent land of Iron to discuss ongoing events. Always massively tense, all the strongest ninja in the world in one room. Okay, that's manageable. Naruto shrugged. We get Tsunade to go up there and go, hey, the Akatsuki's screwed, our village is trashed but we're fine, don't even think about it, and we're working on the bijou. Easy. Well, not quite. Kakashi cringed. Bad news, Tsunade is in a coma. She fucking what? Both Uchiha shouted at once, the elder devolving into a coughing fit afterwards. All those perfectly alive Konohanians that we had to pull out the rubble had to be healed of all their injuries. Plenty of them were in mortal condition. Kakashi told them. Tsunade pushed herself past her breaking point, keeping them all alive. She's completely out of it, and we don't know when she'll wake. Days, weeks, maybe months, maybe never. Haku, Ino, and Sakura all had to be pulled away before they ended up in the same condition. That's not super duperino for me, guys, I'ma be honest. Itachi spoke up. Sasuke looked across at him. What do you, oh, fuck? The illness. The older Uchiha tried his best to sit up properly. Even to Naruto, without any special dojutsu, it was plain that Itachi was in trouble. He looked almost as bad as Nagato had, and even as they looked, blood leaked from the corner of his mouth. Yeah. Look, before he died, Neji compiled some info on my biology. We think it might be enough for Tsunade to heal me. But in all honesty, I'm not sure I'll make it a week without her. If she doesn't wake up in time, the room went silent for a few seconds. So Kakashi grinned under his mask. Wanna hear the even worse news? Sasuke shuddered. How could the news get worse? Danzo's Hokage. He's fucking what? Shouted everyone else in the room at once. Kage summit in a matter of days, remember? Kakashi groused amid cries of bullshit. That bastard. And other such expletives. But there wasn't even any debate, this time. It was announced just about immediately after Tsunade's condition was confirmed. They're not even pretending it isn't shady as hell, he hasn't even given a speech, just left for the summit. The man who orchestrated the murder of my entire family is now in charge of the village? Hinata growled. Also, he's made sure to reiterate that you are a criminal who needs to be hunted down, even though he almost definitely knows that Tsunade was down with your mission. Kakashi warned her. You wouldn't think that would be a priority for him, but there you go. Hinata exhaled, very slowly, and stood up. Right. Where is he? I'm killing him. You can't. Sasuke emphasized. This guy's been messing with things behind the scenes for years, if why not? There was a pause, in which Sasuke and Hinata looked across at Naruto. Come again? I said why not? Naruto threw his arms wide. I mean look. We are quite possibly the 3 strongest ninja in the whole of Konoha. I just saved the village. Sasuke runs the Uchiha clan now. Hinata single-handedly taken down the guy that killed the 3rd Hokage. What are you implying? Kakashi asked, looking at Naruto like he was about to propose an idea for a prank that would incorporate no less than 5 million ryo in property damage. I'm saying. Naruto continued. If we just rock up and kill the Hokage, what's anyone gonna do about it? There was a long silence. Sasuke opened his mouth. Closed it. Even if he has blackmail material on every official in Konoha, that isn't going to matter if he's dead. Itachi pointed out. Exactly. And this dude is pittance compared to us. Case in point, Pain killed him along with the rest of the village. Naruto exclaimed. Think about it, we just rock up and kick his ass, go he's a traitor, Kakashi's in charge now, what are they gonna fucking do about it? Declare us enemies of Konoha? Attack us? Kakashi frowned. I don't recall agreeing to your proposing a benign hostile takeover of your own village. Sasuke shook his head. This is, by far, the craziest thing you've ever come up with, and I'm including the incident with the Kage statues and the imported fish. You're forgetting about the summit. Itachi pointed out. For other Kage, plus all their personal guard. I doubt they're going to be too happy about then we go through them too. Hinata replied. She met Itachi's dumbstruck expression and shrugged. I am sick and tired of people telling me no, you can't do that thing because of all these stupid rules you're supposed to follow. Fuck it. Bring on the Kage. Let's bring this maniac to justice. Sasuke looked between his teammates and gave a hysterical laugh. Yeah, fuck it. Let's do this. Bring on the Kage. Kakashi groaned and stood up. Well, I'll go report that Hinata has mysteriously vanished to whoever's the most senior ninja here. You three have 3 days to prepare. He sauntered out the door. Hinata looked at her teammates. You know how we just established I'd need to ask you both before I ran off again. Get gone, find us again on the way there. Sasuke waved her off, causing her to nod and start picking up her things. Naruto then piped up, oh, and, Hinata? She turned and looked at him. Yes? He ran his tongue over his teeth in indecision for a moment before finishing. It's good to have you back. She blushed and nodded. It's good to be back. Then she was gone. Sasuke waited a few seconds before remarking that was fucking pathetic. I know, you don't have to rub it in. 1 hour later, Sasuke returned to the medical room. Itachi was actually asleep this time, though he woke up when his sibling entered. Hey bro. How'd the meeting go? Pretty well. Sasuke replied, coming up to sit on the bed. I basically told the clan to sit down and be quiet until after the summit's over, and that we'll deal with everything later. He wrinkled his nose. I swear my family was less annoying when I didn't have to give them orders. Was there resistance? Itachi asked. Not really. I showed them all the fight with you and Dad, and after that they basically tripped over themselves to make me clan head. They're just all so petty. Bitchy. Aren't they supposed to be ninja? Our clan is basically raised believing they're Kami's gift to the world. Itachi explained. There's the ones who didn't fight in the war that are essentially spoiled brats, and the ones who did, who are a little more self-aware, but now they're old and bitter. Right? Sasuke shifted in place. Itachi noticed. You're not sure what to think of me, are you? It's not just the massacre. Sasuke admitted. I wasn't that surprised when I learned the truth. It didn't strike me as something you wouldn't be willing to do, if that makes sense. It's more everything else. What do you mean? I mean, Sasuke cut off, a little exasperated. Back in the Chunin exams, I remember you told me you had been manipulating me, a little. I figured you meant that you were just trying to counter Dad's effect on me, but it runs deeper than that, doesn't it? Ever since Neji left, me and him have been trying to change the world. Itachi admitted. We've had our fingers in so many pies I almost lose track sometimes. We manipulated politics in all 5 nations, brought down threats, built up allies. Do you know how many more missing nin might have joined the Akatsuki if me and Neji hadn't dealt with them ahead of time? The records don't show it, but we cleared out a massive chunk of the bingo book by ourselves. And then, of course, there's what I did at home. Every time you ever talked to me. Sasuke said, hollowly. Every time you talked to anyone. It wasn't who you really were. It was what you felt like it would be most helpful to be. Itachi responded, no matter how hard you try to sculpt a mask, it always ends up being a self-portrait. Sometimes I frowned at you when I wanted to smile, or vice versa. But I never tried to convince you I was some different person than I really am. Hell, do I seem much different now? Tireder. Sasuke pointed out. Semantics. Well, how do I know you're not still wearing the mask now? Ask the teammate that can tell when people are lying. Itachi chuckled. But no. No more masks, no more games. You're ready, brother. Ready to take on the world. There's nothing left for me to do, nothing left for me to say I've done everything I can. Except for one thing. Sasuke turned and gave Itachi a look, even though he knew his brother couldn't see it. Well, that was a hell of a suspicious way to end the sentence. All right, what is it? Your Mangekyo. Itachi said, and Sasuke stiffened. It's already highly degraded, I imagine. If you're going to get into a fight with the Kage, then you might run it down completely. But there is a way to get that eyesight back. He gulped, and continued. If you transplanted the Mangekyo of a close family member, my Mangekyo, then you'd unlock the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. EMS. Your eyesight would be restored, enhanced, you'd be able to use your ocular powers infinitely and at a reduced cost. Wait, hold on. Sasuke held up a hand. You want me to rip both our eyeballs out and put yours in my sockets? Of course not. Itachi scoffed. I want you to get a medical professional to rip both our eyeballs out and put mine in your sockets. Not the point. It wouldn't even have to be Tsunade, you could get not the point. Sasuke shouted. That's sick. That's the Uchiha way. Itachi responded. I told you that our eye was an eye of pain. From the stone tablet in our compound, Madara Uchiha once did this with his brother. But do you have to die? Sasuke scrabbled for an idea. What if we just swapped and you took mine? That might work, actually, but remember I'm dying anyway. It wouldn't help me. No. Sasuke shook his head. I'm not doing it. Not unless I have to. Fair enough. It's a long process, and if you did it now you'd probably be blind for the Kage summit. But after I'll think about it. Sasuke looked down. I've told the clan to let Azuna go. I imagine she'll come here pretty soon. Bro, if you don't have anything left to do for us, maybe do some things for yourself, okay? Itachi hummed. That's not a bad shout. Thanks, Sasuke. I just might. Sasuke patted his leg and stood up, walking to the door. You're telling me to get laid again before I die, right? Shut up, asshole. Naruto took in the plot of land that had once contained his house. There was little left but a large pile of stone rubble, cracked wooden floorboards and furniture, a few ramen containers scattered around the wreckage. I reckon this is an improvement, to be honest. He remarked aloud to himself. Uzumaki Nagato, home improvement specialist. Then he got to work. Sasuke found him a few minutes later, amongst sorted piles of different material looking through what was left of his cupboards. Buddy, are we gonna get going? Sasuke called over, backpack slung over one shoulder. I promise you, there are ramen stores in Iron Country, you don't have to loot your own house for half-ruined packets. That's not what I'm after. Naruto shouted back, then aha. He pulled a small, misshapen package out of a pile. Here we go, what's that? A present. Naruto slung it over his shoulder. Explain later. How are things going in the village? Still running pretty much entirely on Naruto clone labor. Sasuke walked up. You were right about one thing, after this you could probably kill an innocent man in public and they'd still think you're a hero. Those clones will probably last until we get to Iron, so I think we can slip away now, without much notice. I've packed enough for the trip and we're fast enough to make it in a matter of hours. Shall we get going? Yeah, I'm good. Naruto walked over, but as Sasuke turned to go, he called out his friend's name, stopping him. Hey, Sasuke? One more thing. About what you said. Back when we were fighting pain. Sasuke paused and grimaced. Ah, shit. You know there's some things people only say when they're about to die, right? Because they aren't gonna have to deal with the consequences of it? Yeah, I know. Naruto scratched the back of his head. It's just I've been mocking you for not getting a girlfriend for almost the last 10 years, and if that was because you liked guys the whole time I feel kinda bad about it. Oh my lord, you absolute moron, Sasuke growled, walking back up. I'm sorry I didn't listen, Sasuke began. There is a very short list of people on this planet that I really, really care about. Now if you filter that list by hasn't horribly betrayed me at some point, then it comes back to just you. Now I'm pretty sure I'm most of the way done with this whole puberty malarkey, and I've been waiting for the hormones everyone's so worried about to arrive, and they just haven't? Like I've seen some attractive people, but I've never gone whoa, damn, that's hot or anything. Certainly never about you. Hey! Point is I'm not trying to get into your pants, Naruto. I'm not trying to get into anyone's pants. Is there a word for that? Naruto squinted in thought. Ace, I think? Yeah, damn right I am. Sasuke grinned for a moment, before losing the smile. He put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. But, Cammy, I'm really bad at talking about my feelings. Look, I like you. And I mean that in the simplest, most basic, no strings attached way you can say it. You're my best friend, and you've saved my life more than once. You're hilarious and ridiculous and an absolute disaster, and I'm pretty sure I'd die for you. Now I'm not sure if anything I feel is unusual for teammates. If this is infatuation, I mean it's not like my heart races when I see you or anything, but the Carrot Top asked and I was panicking, so I answered. Naruto nodded, slowly, thinking it through. So what you're saying is you're not going to try and kiss me again? Sasuke rolled his eyes. No, I'm not going to try and wait, again? We've never kissed. I mean, there was that one time. Sasuke's eyes widened in realization. No. That didn't happen. Everyone in the class saw it. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. Naruto pointed out. I know, because of how embarrassing it was. It was an accident. I know. That wasn't in doubt. We swore we would never speak of it again. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Yeah, but I figured that if we were going to ever bring it up, now would be the time. Yeah, but we didn't need to ever bring it up. What's Hinata gonna say if she hears that you lost your first kiss to me? She already knows. Naruto reminded him. She was there. I mean, we were all, like, hey, do you think that's when she started hating you? Yo, actually, that might be it. Sasuke paused, then glared. You're distracting me. I am. Naruto grinned. Now stop acting all weird and insecure. You're not you, and you're not giving deadpan glares and sarcastic comments at everything. Prick. Sasuke chuckled. All right, let's move it. Together, the duo darted away, moving out of Konoha's crater and into the distance. For the sake of completeness, I wasn't mistaking Hinata's confession for something else, was I? Oh, no, she's absolutely in love with you. Oh, okay, got it. Act 7, Prelude to War. The history of the world of the ninja is littered with events that can be considered of great importance. It would be impossible for such events not to come to pass, when individuals with the power to slay hundreds interact on a day-to-day basis. However, there are much fewer events that can be said to have changed the world in a noticeable way. Many might cite the creation of Konoha as one of those. Its effects on the world were undeniable. Others may propose the destruction of the Canopy Bridge during the Third Great Ninja War, or the following Kyuubi attack on the Hidden Leaf Village. However, when considering events that had the most dramatic effect in international affairs, there is only one that comes to mind. An event resulting in changes in leadership, changes in policy, the discovery of a worldwide conspiracy, and ultimately the formation of the battle lines for the Fourth Great Ninja War. This event is, of course, the Akatsuki 5 Kage Summit, or as it would come to be known, Torian Aburame, a historical analysis, the Kage Civil War No. 1. So, let me get this straight. Hinata confirmed, hair whipping back behind her. You couldn't use the Raisin Kunai at range, so your solution was to coat it in Amaterasu and use Kagetsuchi to force it to maintain its shape? Sounds about right, yeah. Sasuke nodded. She turned to Naruto. And you couldn't use the Raisin Shuriken at range, so you learned to access an entirely new type of chakra and imbued it with that to make it maintain its shape? Aha, basically. Naruto replied. Hinata shook her head. You know, most people just train when they want to improve their technique. Boring people. Yeah, why do you think it takes them so long to get good? Our way is much faster. That, I cannot deny. The three reached their destination, dropping down in some foliage next to their compatriots. Kakashi, Yugo, Karen, and Sai all nodded to them as they approached. There was, for obvious reasons, no real cover within a kilometer of the building they were scouting. If you're hosting a bunch of ninja there, it's common sense to make things as difficult for espionage operations as possible. However, the newly christened Team Fuck It had broken dojutsu on their side. They there? Naruto asked. They're there. Hinata nodded, Byakugan focused on the structure. Each Kage has 2 guards. Plenty of familiar faces in there. Plus almost 100 samurai guards with the host. Yugo held up a hand. The fuck's a samurai? Like a ninja, but they don't bother learning to sneak. Kakashi explained. Jonin through Chunin level, at best, but there's strength in their numbers. So nothing we didn't expect. Sai commented, drolly, tightening the strap on his sword. Are we all ready? There was a round of nods, and they emerged from the woods and walked towards the front door. Oh yeah, by the way. Hinata mentioned, turning her head to Sasuke. Thanks for looking after my teammates while I was away. It wasn't much of a looking after. He remarked, coughing. I just sort of didn't kill them. Hey Yugo, Karen, thanks for looking after my teammate while she was away. My pleasure, said Yugo, calmly. Karen blushed, heavily, and looked away. Sasuke turned back to Hinata and exchanged a series of glances that said something like, oh come on. Be nice. She has a crush on me. Be nice, Sasuke. Before he then looked at Naruto and exchanged glances that kinda went like look at this. It's like she's a new Ino. Got it, you're too busy ogling Yugo to deal with her. Did I not explain that's not how my brain works? You know, maybe if you let a fangirl within 2 meters of you might actually find that you like them. Ugh. Fine. Yes, that was a very in-depth conversation of glances. Genjutsu may have been involved. Finally, Sasuke turned to Karen and said, hey. Aren't you the girl from the Chunin exams? You were fighting the giant mutant bear thing, right? She blushed even more heavily. Yeah. That was me. Sorry, I made you have to save me. I promise I'm stronger now. Well, clearly, if you're teaming with Hinata. Sasuke smiled at her. You'll have to tell me more about that sometime. Karen made a very high-pitched noise and turned away, cheeks red as lava. Sasuke turned back to Naruto making a there, happy? Expression, but the blonde Uzumaki was giving him a death glare. When the heck did you fight a bear in the Chunin exams? In the Forest of Death. Sasuke coughed. It was during that period where you were still all angsty about us doing things without you, so I just sort of didn't tell you? You guys are the worst. Oh, right, we're here guys, places. They had reached the door. The guards, who, to their credit, must have known exactly what was about to go down, still stood with straight backs and boldly announced, state your business, ninja. No other outsiders are permitted to enter the building while talks are underway. Doing so will make things worse for your home villages. Oh, don't you worry about that. Sasuke turned. Naruto? Do you want the honor? Oh hell yeah. Naruto cracked his knuckles. Ahem. The guards realized what was going on and charged forwards. They were much too slow. Naruto inhaled. Some 20 seconds earlier Danzo looked around, getting one final summary of the room. The third Sachike Jinoki, the old man with particle style, sat with his 2 guards Akatsuchi and Kuratsuchi. The fourth Reikage sat flanked by his subordinates C and Darui. The coward hadn't been willing to bring Killer B, it seemed. The fifth Kazakage Gaara was, as always, protected by his 2 siblings, Temari and Kankuro. The blind boy had spread quite a few drone puppets throughout the room, and just about everyone had noticed, but politely not decided to call him on it. The fifth Mizukage sat with one subordinate. Chojuro protectively stood behind her chair, and Yuki Haku leaning against one wall looking entirely bored by the proceedings. The androgynous boy occasionally sent Danzo death glares that he ignored. Danzo himself had brought Yamato alone. He would have preferred to have Sai, but with the boy MIA there were no other jonin en route on his level. No matter. Most of the room's occupants were not only unwilling to harm Danzo, but unable. Ladies and gentlemen, said Mifune, the leader of the Land of Iron sat at the head of the table. Thank you all for coming here in peace. I hereby bring the 6th 5 Kage Summit to order. Hokage Danzo, as your village is the focal point of this discussion, I believe you should be the one to begin. Thank you, esteemed leader. Danzo replied, calmly, turning to the table at large. Finally, a lifetime of planning was going to come to fruition. Fellow Kage, there was a boom, and suddenly everyone was standing, and dust rained from the roof as the building shook, and a voice loudly sang, "Body once told me the world was gonna roll me, I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed." She was, "What the fuck is this?" demanded the rakeage. Danzo noted that the Yuki boy was making an expression like Christmas had come early, while Kankuro's shoulders were shaking from suppressed laughter. Ladies and gentlemen. A male voice, amplified by some jutsu or another, rose up over the singing. This is Team Fuck It of the village hidden in the leaves speaking. We have come to apprehend Shimura Danzo, on charges including but not limited to conspiring with a terrorist against his home village. Ordering the massacre of an entire clan full of innocent people. Betrayal of loyal Konoha agents. Mind-controlling my friend, and being a generally treacherous, slimy, ugly, bandage-faced, Halloween decoration-looking ass motherfucker. Everyone was looking at Danzo now. I don't believe I particularly have to orate that they are lying. He deadpanned. Even about that last one? You sure? Temari asked. We would like to remind everyone present that this is an internal Konoha matter. Echoed a different voice, female this time. We apologize for any inconvenience and request that you do not interfere. Any help in suppressing the traitor would be greatly appreciated. On the other hand, if anyone attempts to get in our way, they will be moved. Said the other voice, solemnly. Then the female one said, that was my line, you stole my line. And the male one said, yeah, you're right, sorry, I got excited. And the female said, Sasuke, we spent hours this morning practicing this speech. And the male went, right. Okay, how do I turn this thing off? The voice cut out, and the sounds of combat moving throughout the building became much more apparent. Hyuga Hinata, and Sasuke Uchiha. Danzo said, standing up. A known terrorist and her teammate. He had been prepared to have to convince the other Kage to assist him, but it seemed they had already made up their minds. Oh, I know all about the Uchiha boy. Mei growled. That kid has been stealing our swords for the last 5 years. He has 6 of the fuckers. Danzo relaxed as the others made similar noises of agreement. He shouldn't have been surprised. These were some of the strongest ninja in the world, and this attacking team had essentially just dared them to fight. They weren't going to take that challenge lying down. It's about time those obnoxious children are finally dealt with. Mifune and his guards carefully backed away, and the Kage turned as one to face the only door into the room, and then they all paused, as the Kazekage moved to stand in front of it. Gaara knew, as he turned to face the rest of the room, what he was supposed to do. He was at a peace meeting, and all logic and law suggested it was better to side with his fellow Kage and maintain pleasant diplomatic relations with them. That said, Shimura Danzo. He said, letting sand pour from his gourd. Please submit to your arrest. What do you think you're doing, young man? Anoki's eyes narrowed. Suna sides with Konoha. Gaara replied, unbothered. I am Konoha. Danzo said, threateningly. Not yet. Countered Kankuro, as he and Temari readied up behind their brother. This is insane. Mei glared at them. You're picking a fight with all 4 other Kage at once? Siding with the rebels? Why? Simple. Gaara smiled. Because they are my friends. Yuki Haku looked at the shocked faces of the rest of the room, anxiously. There was absolutely no doubts about what he wanted here, aka, whatever Team Fuck It wanted, but he was acutely aware that doing anything would A, lead to a whole bunch of bounties being dropped on his head again, and B, completely undo all the progress he'd made building up a presence in Hidden Mist. Was there a way to work this without throwing the last 5 years of effort away? Inner Zabuza, what do I do? He asked. Kill the Mizukage, said Inner Zabuza. Yeah, but that's Haku blinked and slowly smiled, as his brain finally allowed itself to consider the consequences of that particular action. Oh yeah. It's all coming together. While everyone's eyes were on Gaara, he silently padded up behind Shojuro, picked up a chair, and swung it at the back of his head. The blue-haired Jonin was a master swordsman, Haku would give him that, but he was a bit of a wimp in most other aspects. He fell like a sack of potatoes. The rest of the room heard that, of course, all turning to look at Haku, who pointed one finger at Mei. Hey, queen bitch. I challenge you for the right to be Mizukage. Mei's jaw dropped. Really? Right now? Yep. I decline. Now is not the time. You can't. Haku grinned. Not if the accuser declares the challenge to be full stakes, due to their believing the Kage is mad, or making decisions that would permanently or irreparably damage the village's sanctity, honor, or safety. But that would make it a battle to the Mei paused, as Haku's killing intent finally made its way over to her. You're betraying me. She whispered. No, I'm not. Haku giggled. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. This is perfectly legal. You're trying to assassinate the Mizukage? Haku, purely for dramatic purposes, reached up with a senbon and carved a line through the mist symbol on his forehead protector. You're damn right I am. Square up. The Reikage let out a laugh. Gaara nodded in Haku's direction. Mei shut her mouth. And then everyone moved all at once. Team Fuck it burst through the doors into the main hall of the building and into a scene of utter chaos. The Reikage was halfway through the hand seals to a substitution jutsu while being held in midair by Tamari's wind. Gaara was throwing sand everywhere in an attempt to catch a floating enoki, and the central table had been upended, with Haku currently taking cover behind it to avoid a massive globule of lava that was currently eating away at the wood. Danzo stood at the back of the hall, watching, but the moment he caught sight of the new invaders, he began to flee through a back door. Begin Part B. Naruto shouted, and the group split apart. Kakashi charged the Reikage Saids, Yuko and Karen went after the Tsuchikages. Sai called out Yamato is mine. And beelined straight for him. The core Team 7 landed by Gaara in a pretty damn impressive set of poses, Naruto catching a punch from the Reikage on his crossed forearms, Hinata channeling away the lightning around the strike, and Sasuke delivering a back kick to the man's abdomen to shove him away. Hey Gaara! Long time no see, how's it going? Naruto asked. Not bad. No bijou anymore, I've been sleeping better. The Kazekage shrugged. Still rocking the black eyeliner though? It works with my complexion. Hey, Kankuro! Sasuke called across. How does my outfit look? Fuck off, Sasuke. The puppet master shot back, with a grin. Focus, guys. Hinata said, looking up. Our target's making a run for it. I can't take these two alone. Gaara warned. Not without Shikaku. You won't need to. Sasuke reassured him, turning back to his teammates. Hinata's got more time left on her eyes than me, you two get out there and kick his ass. I'll deal with the mustache siblings. Deal with me? A laughed. I'm the motherfucking Reikage. I'm the fastest ninja alive. You think you can just there was a flash, and suddenly there was black fire coating one wall, and the Reikage had thrown himself a few meters to the left. Yeah, okay, he's right, that's fair. Sasuke nodded, eyes shifting back from their Mangekyo pattern. Yeah, these Kage are Kage level. Tamari reminded him. Shocker. You kids done talking? Inoki called down to them. Yeah, we're good. Naruto stretched. Autobots. Roll shut up and move. Gaara launched out a spherical wave of sand that obscured them from their opponents. By the time Ai and Inoki had blasted their way through it, they were already being swarmed by a dozen Naruto clones each. Sasuke attempted to wrap up the Tsuchikage in razor wire while Naruto and Hinata darted around the Reikage, batted aside Darui and C, high-fived Sai on the way past, and punched straight through the wall between them and the false Kage. They caught up with Danzo on a gray stone bridge, crossing a wide, deep, and otherwise canyony canyon. Clearly realizing the pointlessness of continuing to run, he stopped and turned towards them. "You're rather persistent," he remarked. "We spent 4 straight years playing cat and mouse," Naruto told him. "Rather persistent is the understatement of the century. Would be the millennia," Hinata added. "Except we can't beat last century's, which was Tobirama has a few problems with the Uchiha." "Quite," Danzo replied. "It was my old master's greatest weakness. He was a genius, to be certain, but his unwillingness to mend bridges with the Uchiha cost him access to the village's greatest asset." "Right, because alienating assets is something you've never done." Hinata glared at him. "Ah, sarcasm. One of Hiruzen's favorites." Danzo looked at them both. "Let's get to the point. I'm not unwilling to recognize my mistakes. My reasoning was sound at the time I made that call, but knowing what I know now, I would not have made it." His one visible eye focused on Hinata. "Given what I know you are capable of." Lightning crackled around Hinata's hands. "That's it?" she demanded. "That's all you care about? You decide whether or not to sacrifice dozens of innocent people based on a dojutsu?" "Of course," he said, frankly. And she knew it was true. "We are ninja, girl. I am an old man, I have not kept up the physical training of one. I have not built up the chakra reserves of Jiraiya, learned the jutsu repertoire of Hiruzen, sharpened my technique like Kakashi. But the measure of a ninja is in how they think. It is in what they are willing to do. Nah, I can't do enough of the ninja stuff, but I still am a ninja, I swear." Naruto mumbled under his breath. "Are you genuinely trying to act like you had some altruistic reason for this?" Hinata spat. "You were afraid of losing your power. That's why you became Kage, that's what all this was for." "Not at all," he replied, and he genuinely believed it was the truth. "I care nothing for power. The hat, the robes, the command, I don't take them because I desire them. I take them because I fear what others will do with them. My first priority is, and has always been, the safety and well-being of Konohagakure." Hinata shook her head. "Neji was a sociopath. But you're just plain insane. You claim to work to the benefit of Konoha, yet you'll slaughter your own citizens? I'm afraid that that is how this world works," he replied, somberly. "Then we're going to change it," Naruto shouted back. He looked over at Hinata and smiled. "Together." Her eyes widened as she looked back at him, but then she smiled and nodded. "Together." There was a very beautiful moment. "But I'm killing this guy on my own right now." Hinata knows she blasted forwards. Okay, it looked like a real Anakin Skywalker versus Count Dooku move. Yes, Naruto had gotten her to watch those movies at one point, but it wasn't as stupid as it seemed. Danzo has said he was weaker than them, and meant it. And even if he knew about her Gokiai, he couldn't know how it worked. Meaning he didn't know about the Hiragikoma and its fuck anything you try properties. And then there was the matter of his eyes. She'd had her Byakugan on the whole time, of course, and warned her teammates. She knew about the Sharingan in his concealed eye. She knew about his bandaged arm, and that whatever was concealed in there was identical to the right side of Tobi's body. She even knew that he had a Byakugan inserted into the not flesh, and that it was somehow actually working. But there was no ninjutsu or jinjutsu he could launch that would stop her from getting right in his face, blasting him with a vacuum palm, and then pummeling his chakra points until they disintegrated. For Hanabi, she thought, as she drew closer and closer. Danzo reached one hand up and tore the bandages off his face, revealing the Sharingan. As she got closer, it shifted into a new pattern. Mangekyo. No matter. She activated the Vishnu, white blanketing her body and numbness encroaching her hands and feet. Even if he had Amaterasu, she'd live. If he had anything else, she reached out with one palm and prepared the Hiragikoma. And then Danzo said, "Koto Amatsukami." Naruto watched, gobsmacked, as Danzo leaned to one side and Hinata, moving too fast to effectively arrest her own momentum, flew straight past him, landing in a slide behind. Then she stopped, stood up, and turned back. Her gaze focused on her teammate. "Hinata?" he asked, hesitantly. "Naruto," she replied. Then she turned to Danzo. "Master, I take it you want him dead?"
Thank you for your views, likes, subscriptions, and overall support of my ongoing efforts to bring great content to all of you. Check out my Patreon for more mature fanfiction. The link is in the description and like everywhere on my channel.